Good morning or good afternoon to you, depending on where you are. We are going to record this session so that anybody who isn't able to make it can view it later. So I wanted to let you all know about that. And I'm Angela Austin. I work with National Security Innovation Network, or NSIN. And I'm thrilled to welcome you all here today. We're here to discuss a critical initiative, the Expeditionary Energy Challenge, and that's presented by NSIN and in collaboration with the 15th Space Surveillance Squadron. This challenge seeks innovative solutions for expeditionary power generation for a mobile space domain awareness platform. So through this session, you'll have an opportunity to engage with the subject matter experts who are here, and then we'll go into more of the details of the challenge, the significance, and some of the opportunities that you'll have available to you in this challenge. If you have a question at any point, please feel free to use the little triangle shaped button in the bottom right corner. If you go in there, you can enter your questions with or without your name. You can put them in there. And as we're going through, once we turn it over to the Q&A portion of this, we'll go down the line in the order that we received them. Additionally, as I mentioned, we'll have a recording of this available on IdeaScale following the event. So if there's anything you wanted to come back to, you'll be able to find it there. Before we go deeper into the challenge and some of the technical aspects of it, I wanted to go over the importance of this challenge and some of the rewards that are available. So following this challenge, we will have $75,000 in awards for the top performers, and we will have a virtual event in June, the pitch event, to determine who those winners will be. You will also have potential access to the AMOS conference, and you'll gain exposure to DoD leaders who will be in and out during this process, and definitely during the pitch event, and potential follow-on opportunities. So with that, I want to go through some of these slides here and cover some of the finer details of the administration of this challenge. So right now I have the timeline up for you. This challenge opened for submissions on the 18th of April, and then it's going to close on the 31st of May. That's when we're going to begin our down selection period. We'll have our subject matter experts scoring the proposals that we've received. And then on June 14th is when that down selection period concludes, and we will announce the finalists who are invited to pitch at the pitch event. June 25th is when we will have a pitch rehearsal, and your pitches will be pre-recorded. And then on the 27th is when we'll have our virtual pitch event. And then the week of July 1st, we'll announce the winners. And again, the AMOS conference that you have a potential to gain the admission fee for will be on September 17th through the 20th. As far as your submission and the pitch deck requirements, these are the specifications listed here. So we ask that you please adhere to these. The scoring criteria, this is listed in IdeaScale on the campaign page, but these are the 5 areas that you will be scored in. So as long as you're keeping this in mind as you're addressing the problem statement and the technical requirements that are listed there, just know that this is where what we're actually going to use to score everything. For the pitch day, again, it's a virtual pitch event, so you are not required to travel anywhere for it. It will be on June 27th, and the format for the pitch event will be 5 minutes of your pre-recorded pitch, followed by 5 minutes of Q&A with the judging panel. And again, for that event, the criteria that I just had up is the same that will be used for the pitch event and for submissions. And here's the problem statement. I'm not going to read through it all, but this is also posted in the campaign page in IdeaScale. And this lists the specifications for the features that they're looking for and the technology. And And without going into too much detail on this, I know you all have access to this. I want to go ahead and hear from our lead on this initiative, Mr. Richard Chong. He brings extensive experience and expertise to our discussion today. He's the executive director of the 15th Space Surveillance Squadron and deputy branch chief. So please, Mr. Chong, I'd like to hand it over to you.
Good morning, everybody, and good afternoon for those on the East Coast. Space is hard. If you guys haven't heard before, doing space work is not cheap. It's not easy. Takes a long time. Thank you, NSIN, for helping with this prize challenge. The focus here today is how can I put a space capability into a deployed location, and how can I power it with we currently have capability out there, but it's commercial capability has caught up, and I'd love to see what those brilliant minds out there have. So you guys have read the problem statement. We are here to answer any questions. Please fire away.
Great, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and go through the questions and read them off in the order that we received them. And I'll kind of moderate and go through, and then Mr. Chong, you can determine if it's a question for you or Sean. So let's see. Okay, so the first one I have is, what is the mass of the telescope and all associated subsystems, minus the expeditionary energy power source needed to support the mission?
We currently do not necessarily have a nailed down surveillance system. You can estimate it to be in the half meter to meter class, off the shelf telescopes, something like a plane wave. Sean, if you have a ballpark figure of details as far as the components, there will be communication. Sean, do you have the stuff for the plane wave? If not,
I don't. Yeah, this is Sean. I don't have necessarily a mass requirement, but I can provide a general description of the equipment that we're considering. So, as Mr. Chong mentioned, between a half meter and 1 meter telescope, you can use plane wave instruments as a convenient reference for that. The tube, the telescope tube, 50 centimeter, 75 centimeter, 100 centimeter, that kind of thing. Associated mounts, either an L series mount or other types that can be bought directly from those companies. Are the domes that we have used in the past, 12-foot diameter ash domes, or Astro Haven domes. In addition, we typically use a little bit less than a half rack worth of computer equipment and control hardware. The cameras that we tend to use, you can look at like Finger Lakes, Kepler 4040, ATIC, APX 60, those kinds of commercially available astronomy cameras. Over.
Great, thank you so much. I will go on to the next question. Where are the general locations of where the telescope is to be positioned?
currently, for a potential demonstration or the demonstration, it will be here on Maui.
Okay.
As far as where deployment might be, uh, it could be anywhere here in the Pacific Theater. Over.
Great, thank you. Can the telescope be operated remotely without people attending to it?
That will be the primary premise behind this. Yes.
Yeah, that's a requirement.
Thank you for clarifying. Let's see, will you provide a link to this recording? I can answer that. Yes. You will find the link to this recording usually usually about a week following the AMA, this session, and you'll find it in the Q&A forum and idea scale for this challenge. So if you have any issues accessing that or you're not sure where I mean, please email us at challenges@ensign.mil, and we can do like a screenshot and show you exactly where on the campaign page to find that, but it will be in our campaign page. And thank you, Megan, there's the email. Is the 25 kilowatt requirement a continuous 25 kilowatt over 12-hour operating period?
Sean, I'm gonna have to defer to you on that one.
It's not, the higher power requirements would be for dome opening, moving the dome around, things like that, but much of the time, the telescope and the domes will be fairly stationary. Tracking objects in geosynchronous orbit, which doesn't really require the dome or the mount to be moving much. But when all of those things are moving together, the domes can require fairly high voltage as you look at our kind of reference system that we've described. There might be moments where that higher power level is needed, but we're not talking about continuous like 25 kilowatts over 12 hours. Over.
Thank you. Is the entire system, in parentheses, power generation, energy storage, inverters, etc., part of that 250-pound limit?
The primary objective, threshold, I'm sorry, objective, yes.
Okay. What is the required energy capacity or anticipated average demand over the 12-hour requirement?
Shucks. Sean, again, I'm sorry.
I'll investigate whether we have a figure like that to provide.
Okay, thank you. What is the relevance of the 300 VDC bus? Apologies, I don't know that acronym.
I'm assuming 300 volts direct current. Typically that's required for rotating an observatory dome.
What is the intended method of recharging the battery? The 10 panels I series?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
It says, what is the intended method of recharging the battery? Question mark, and then it says the 10, in parentheses, the 10 panels I series. let's see, this is from screen name Old School Civic. If you want to elaborate on your question, please do so.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is David. Yeah, I was just curious more about the 10 panels in series with ideal orientation and angle of incident. So as far as a deliverable with this with these design, is this to be included as a part of the design package to provide some 10 panels in series? Is this a part of the is it like a packaged product?
And Sean, correct me if I'm wrong. I think the answer is no. That is part of the package that was currently instantiated. And we're looking at possible alternatives. And I will confirm. That is a great question. I will confirm that very shortly. Over.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is the Blue Eddy power inverter a requirement or suggested equivalent?
Sorry, people keep blowing me up and like putting the screen on my phone. Repeat that again, please.
Is the Blue Eddy power inverter a requirement or suggested equivalent?
Mr. Bauman, I think it is suggested equivalent, correct?
Yeah, just that's more of a reference reference piece of hardware, but yeah, we
And
don't want to constrain you to a specific.
I'm sorry. Yeah, did you? Oh, go ahead.
No, all I was saying was that that's a suggestion as a reference, and we leave it up to you all for equivalence.
Great, thank you. Let me move on to the next one. If awarded, what can we expect from a quantity and timeline for production? I can answer half of this. So if awarded, your part of the prize challenge is that there are no strings attached. You've won the challenge. You've informed our DoD mission partner on capabilities. And from there, there's the potential to move forward with a follow-on activity that is just a potential opportunity. So that's as much information as I can give there. I don't know if you want to elaborate on anything there, Mr. Chong.
The standard route is the government cannot, or government employees cannot press forward until the official president's budget comes into play. That being said, deployable capability for space domain awareness assets and capabilities is at the forefront of what the Department of Defense is accomplishing today. So there is no forecasted number I can give you right now, but it is an imperative within the defense industry. Over.
Thank you. Is there any way we can get Mr. Chong or Sean's email address for further technical questions? I can answer that. So if you have a question, you will put it in the Q&A forum in idea scale, or you will email it to challenges@ensign.mil. And in the case of technical questions, we will get back to you on behalf of Mr. Chong or Sean. And that's the way to submit those questions. They will be directly in idea scale or to the challenges@ensign.mil email address. Okay, next question. Is the 250-pound system limitation a hard limit or disqualifier for an application if it can't be met?
This is Richard Chong. I alluded to that earlier, but I'm going to confirm. I will confirm that shortly. Sean, what do you think? Do we have any additional wiggle room? That's going to be a hard stop.
Mass is important, but so is cost. I think that's a trade space that we are willing to, that we're willing to see what your solutions look like. If a 250-pound system is made of unobtainium, that's not what we're looking for. But if a 300-pound system is, you know, dirt cheap, then that's a, you know, we'd consider that kind of viable. I hope that helps. But basically, like, yeah, balance mass with cost.
Thank you. How much AC power is
So
required from?
I'm sorry, Angela.
Oh, it's
can I-
okay.
Can I add that? Can I add just one couple words to that? So balance mass with cost, with overall, you know, deployability. Over.
Great, thank you. The next question is how much AC power is required from the inverters?
I thought that was in the specs that we put out. I will be looking at it right now. Over.
It's I just put it up if you want to scroll through there, and then I'll move on to the next. It's on the slide if you're able to see that.
Yep, looking and it says DC power only. Okay. Sean, do we know any of the specs for AC power through the inverter or through inverters?
I don't have those figures.
Same here. We will have to get back to you on that. Over.
Thank you. Is there a physical distance limitation between power generation component and the primary interconnect location for telescope or observatory?
Can you repeat that question? Is there a minimum distance requirement?
It says, is there a physical distance limitation between power generation component and the primary interconnect location for the telescope or observatory?
I see. I may be misinterpreting the question, but the way I'm thinking about that is like is the example the question is thinking about more like how far away from the telescope dome can a series of solar panels be? Or how far away would the generator need to be, something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Okay. You know, certainly outside the telescope dome, but we don't really have an outer limit. I guess I would describe that, you know, yeah, we would say as compact as practicable, because right, for a hypothetical expeditionary capability, we don't necessarily know where we're going to need to set these systems up. So yeah, sorry, I don't have like a perfect answer for you, but this is where we rely on the proposals to show us what your assumptions are about what the system will need and what creative solutions you have to it. Over.
Thank you. Okay, is
Yeah.
the
Sorry.
sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's hard because it hard to quantify that because if somebody hypothetically proposes, I don't know, let's say a water wheel or a hydrodynamic generator, uh, proximity is, I have no idea we have no idea to how that would, be supported or what jitter or vibration would cause to the system. So that's a question that's a hard one to answer. Over.
Okay, great. Thank you. The next question is 25 kilowatt plus 200% peak required from the 300 volt DC bus?
Can you repeat that? Is 25 watt peak required from the 300 watt DC bus? Did I get that?
I couldn't hear all that. It says is 25 kilowatt plus 200% peak required from the 300 volt DC bus?
Hmm. I would have to venture to say the answer is yes, in accordance with what Mr. Bauman was referring to earlier. There are some peak capacity moments that will have to be met. It will not be continuous, but there will have to be a capacitance that will be used at given points in time. Over.
Okay, thank you. Is there a requirement for time to come online or deployment time?
This one I'll defer to Sean. Our current instantiation, our current systems take a little bit to come online. It won't be an immediate. So I would say relatively no, but it shouldn't take 6 of the 12 hours of daylight to do so. Over.
Yeah, I would echo that sentiment and say, hours to 1 to 2 days for full setup. Essentially from the time you pick your site to the time that you're ready to start operating the dome and telescope and computer systems.
Thank you. Is the 25 kilowatt per hour?
Sorry, that was the end of the question. Um, and again, I'm going to defer to Sean. 25 kilowatt peak capacitance, correct?
Is it it says is the 25 kilowatt per hour?
I will have to get back to you. My answer, because I don't have it in front of me, currently is yes, but I will confirm that.
Thank you. Is there a list of equipment that is required to be powered that we can use to provide a demand analysis?
I think we have provided a useful reference equipment list, including the telescope, the mount, the camera, associated computer systems, and the dome. I think that kind of reference list of equipment or equivalent, equivalent in the commercial market should be sufficient for that analysis.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm sorry. So this is David again. So okay, so for that list, is that list available that I wasn't aware of? Is there some place that we have access to that list of equipment?
I was going to circle back and ask the same. It's not something that we have listed on our webpage for the open call announcement, but it is something that we can add if Mr. Chong or Sean, if you wanted to add that, we could. It's not currently there.
Okay, we can provide that in writing in addition to what we discussed here on this call.
Great, thank you. So I think it was Dave or David who asked that question. So when you go to look for that, we will post that in idea scale. It'll be in the campaign page and we'll alert you to where to find it in that top section in idea scale when you go on the campaign page. And again, all of this stuff, we try to have everything, any questions that weren't completely answered in the video and recording, everything up a week following. So if you have any trouble a week following finding that, please reach out to us and we'll help you locate it. As far as the questions, I don't see any others here. But we do still have some time left. So for any of you that are on the call and potential participants, if you have questions and you'd like to raise your hand and ask them directly, please feel free to do so at this time. Also, Mr. Chong, if you want to elaborate on anything based off of the information you received here, or same to you, Sean, if there's anything you want to reiterate or discuss, happy to turn it over to you.
Sure, I'd like to say a few things. I actually look very forward to seeing everyone's proposals. Uh, uh, this is the time now where getting external, the non-traditional commercial industry and vendors, um, it's exciting to me. This venue that we're using right now through NSIN and what Angela represents is something that hasn't necessarily been here, and I look forward to seeing what everyone else can bring to the table. Over.
Thank you. Okay, we have another question in. How many teams will be selected to demo? So I think you're meaning pitch. How many teams? We have, let me see. I'd have to defer to what we specified in the solicitation for this one. So let me look that up quickly to answer your question. Sometimes we leave it ambiguous and we say finalists, well, you know, the top performers. And in this case, let me double check what we had listed. Yeah,
I don't.
so I
Yeah, I
don't,
didn't
we did,
recall having a list. I mean, a number.
yeah, I just verified. We just said that the top performers. So I can tell you in general, when we have a pitch event, we don't go over 15. But other than that, it was left ambiguous intentionally because we're not sure what's out there. And they wanted to leave that up to the submissions to determine the number of companies invited. Let's see. And do we have any other questions? Well, if we don't have any other questions, I'm happy to conclude this early. If there's nothing else, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who joined. It's really great to have all these different companies on here, and have a genuine interest in this. I'm really excited to see what's going to come out and for the pitch day to see what's presented. And if you have any questions at all, please reach out to our email address or use the Idea Scale Q&A forum. And any of the questions that weren't answered today will be up in Idea Scale. And we aim to do that a week following the AMA. Hopefully we can do it a little bit sooner, but at the longest, probably a week, and then we'll have everything up. So again, thanks so much to all of you for joining and for the discussion. And we hope to see your submission soon. Thanks, everyone.